certainly throughout the entire 5-day camp. If there are any questions, we do have Nisha Elam with us today from Bull Run Middle School. Say hi.
I had to unmute real quick. Hi, everyone.
Nisha is moderating our chat window. So if you have any questions that are specific to this session, go ahead and throw those into the chat window. And then we would ask you, please, if you have any sort of broader questions that go beyond the content for today, that you keep those for the Q&A that will happen right after our 11 o'clock session. So around 12 o'clock there. Okay. If for any reason, because there are 200 people here in our session today, your question is missed, just give Nisha a second. We do have a few other ITCs who are helping us out today in the window as well. So if your question isn't answered, as you might imagine, it might have popped up way high up in the chain of questions. So just don't feel like you can't put it back into the chat window. You certainly can, and one of us will answer that for you. So let's go ahead and get started. If you took advantage earlier when Katie sent out a couple of the emails and announcements through Canvas letting you know some things to expect or to prepare for, we do have inside of the Camp Canvas course, we do have a link to the different handouts that have been used. So what you would do is you would just go to open the course, Camp Canvas Live for your dashboard, and then it's going to be the Camp Canvas Live Wakelet. So when you click on that Wakelet, we are the first one here, the planting session that you see. So if you click on that participant handout, you'll be able to follow along with me, just in case you're someone who likes to kind of follow along on paper as they're listening. And it also has links to all the different things that I'm talking about. So before I said we talk about instructor guides, how-to guides, all of that is linked inside. And if you need any other information as we go along, or if you find that this might be helpful for you to make a copy and jot notes on versus any other method you might be using as we go along, this is there for you. All right, so when we talk about Canvas and best practices, really we want to make sure that you're always using the Chrome browser. That's going to be your best user experience with Canvas. Now, I know that we have this little bubble that comes up that says that our browser is not updated, and we know that, but it still works fully functional, not an issue. You just close out the X and dismiss that disclaimer, and you'll have smooth sailing. Okay, that is for your Prince William device. If you're using a personal device, you may not see that, and that's okay. You can ignore everything I just said, as long as you're up to date in your browser. If you have logged into Canvas today and you do not have the Camp Canvas Live course, it's not something that we share with you. It's actually something that you needed to self-enroll in. So we can send that out again later. Nisha can send the link to it also in the chat window, but there is an enroll link that she can put in the chat window for you there. Just make sure that you log in with your pwcs.edu email address. Please don't use a personal account. And that goes for at the end of the session also when you are submitting your information for attendance. Make sure you're always using your @pwcs.edu address. We do not know personal email addresses and cannot connect them with your professional. So we appreciate that. But if you've not joined the bootcamp course, go ahead and do that, because as we go through the session today, there are a couple optional assignments. They're certainly not required, but they will help you after the session take some of the learning from the day and extend it. So as I go through the session today, whenever there is a section that I've just covered and it has an optional assignment to help you learn a little bit more, I'll point that out and let you know. But as you can see within the course that I've already clicked in, so let's just head back to my dashboard. I'll walk you through it. So in the dashboard, I click on Camp Canvas Live. It's the one with the fire. And the home is just, it opens right up to the modules here. We'll scroll down past the Camp Canvas Welcome, down to day 1, and then you'll see all of the different optional assignments that we'll talk about are offered for you today align with the different sections. For instance, user settings, global navigation. When you click over to the handout, they're the same topics listed there. So everything is very well correlated so you don't get lost. The last little housekeeping / best practices thing that I wanted to point out for you is you will notice that everybody now has a private sandbox. So that's your place to play, figure things out where your students can't see it. Some people use that course to be their course where they build their actual class and then they export it into another class once they're ready to share it with students. Some people just use it as their sandbox, which is like your play space, right? But in either case, you can use it however you want. You can see mine down here. It's green. It says Bugio JK Sandbox. Everyone in Prince William County Schools has already received a sandbox in their unpublished courses section of the dashboard. If you don't see it there for whatever reason, it should have automatically come up there. But if you don't see it there for any reason, or if you're missing a course that you know you have, just don't forget, your dashboard is kind of, well, it's organized by your favorites. So if you're someone who has gone in and chosen your favorites, you might want to head to courses, all courses. And then you can see I have a much longer list of courses here. And you might want to look for your sandbox there and make sure that the star beside it is orange, because that is what's going to make it pop up on your dashboard. But I will say for the vast majority of people, it should already be there under your unpublished courses. So if you're looking for a place to play that has no impact on any of your other content, that would be the place to do it. So let's jump right in. If you're following along with the handout, we are on the user settings section. So let's take a look at your user profile. So in your dashboard, to update your user profile, you're going to go to the very top of your left side global navigation window and click on the little person that may just be a placeholder. You may already have a picture there, but let's go ahead. If you're following along on your computer, you can do that. We're going to click here, and then we're going to go into settings. All right, so once you're in your settings, not everything is something that you can actually edit. So when you click here, you're going to think that you can start working. You can't. You need to go over to the right-hand side in the menu and click on Edit Settings. And then everyone wants to make sure that their language is correct and that you have changed your time zone to Eastern Time, US, Canada. And then when you've done that, you can click the Update Settings. However, you do have some optional things just below. So you can go through these. We're not going to hit every single one of these and go over them in detail, but you can kind of get an idea of what kind of options you have here. The biggest one that I wanted to point out is the feature items down at the bottom. The feature items down at the bottom are your accessibility options for just you as the user. These are not applied to your students. So if you have a need for accessibility tools, this is the place to turn them on for yourself. You can turn on high contrast, and it's just with the click of a button. So anything that's green is turned on, and anything that is X'd out is not turned on. But you can, underline links. You can make them change the color of things, and just make things a better user experience for you as the teacher. So when you're finished updating those settings, just click Update Settings, and that's it. Now, if you want to change your profile image, you'll notice when I hover over my image, I can click on the pencil, and then I have a couple different options. I can upload a picture. I can take a picture immediately right now with my webcam, or I can pull from Gravatar, which is not something that I use. And you're welcome to figure that out, but it's not something that we're going to cover here. So if I were to take a picture, I can just click the take a picture, which is not probably going to work right now because it's being used with my Zoom camera, but in any case, I can upload a picture that I already have. It'd probably be best if you stay away from Bitmojis, because as you might imagine, in a 100% virtual environment, your students really need to see you to build those relationships, to get to know one another. They're really going to want to see who their teacher is. I can only imagine as a student what it feels like to not meet my teacher until potentially second quarter or later. So, you know, it would be a really good idea to use some sort of headshot, not something that, you know, is necessarily full body or has you at the beach in the background, but certainly something professional. A lot of people like to use the school picture from their yearbook. But the one thing that you want to keep in mind when you're uploading a picture here, there's no real image size, proportion-wise or dimension-wise that you need to worry about, but you do need to make sure that the picture is in a square. Because when you upload a picture, let me head up here to my images. Like, let's say this, see how this is a square. So you can drag this and use whatever region you want, but as you notice, the actual image to start with needs to be squared. So all the dimensions need to be the same on each side, or it's going to be a little wonky. So just keep that in mind when you're choosing your picture. All right. A couple different things that I do want to touch on quickly. Your display name here, I know that's a little bothersome for some because not everyone uses their legal name per se. When they're, you know, working with students, or that may not even be what's displayed in your email, or your email and your display name may be a little bit different. Unfortunately, there's not a way to change your display name. So that is going to be the way that it is displayed for your students. And there isn't a way that we're going to be able to change that at this time. And then a couple other things over here, you have a ways to contact area. I just leave mine as my Prince William email, but the ways to contact email section is not visible to your students. It's not visible to parents. So anything that you put here is protected from them. This is really just the way that Canvas contacts you. And I don't mean like with offers and things like that. I mean with your notifications that we'll talk about in a little bit. Whatever notifications you signed up for, these are the email addresses or phone numbers that it's going to send those notifications to. So if you're someone who likes to get a notification on your phone when something's submitted, then this is where you're going to put in that phone number to receive those text messages. So if you're going to add a personal email address or a personal phone number here, you just hit the plus sign and enter that information. But again, it's not visible by students, so just keep that in mind and don't worry about that. Now you do also have down here below a pair with observer button. Parents are going to have observer roles. So this is where you could go and give a parent an observer code to join your class or to join your classes. So this is an observer code that you could share out. They don't last forever, and you can tell as I click it every single time, it's a different code, so they do time out. And that's why we are asking that there are directions for parents to work with their children on creating the observer account for our middle and high school students. That might look a little bit different in the elementary, and you want to talk to your ITC about that. But in terms of pairing the observer code in the secondary environment, there are directions that are shared with both parents and students on setting those accounts with each other instead of the teacher having to create this code, because you can't really post it in your class, on your class page, and it stay the same code all the time. So you'll definitely want to utilize that option of encouraging students and parents to do that together based on the directions that are shared out to them. But if for some reason you're in a lurch and you need to do it quickly, or you're in a meeting with a parent online and you want to do it quickly, you can get that there. All right, and then over on the left-hand side, that's everything about your personal settings. Let's look over at notifications, since I referenced that just a moment ago. So once you put in your ways to contact, These are all the different notifications that you can receive. There's a lot of them. So obviously we won't go through those either, but if you're ever confused about what these really mean, like these might be a little bit too basic for you to really fully grasp, like what section of the discussion or the post or whatever are we talking about here, you can just scroll over it and you'll see that a little bubble pops up and gives you some additional details about what that means. So discussion is really when a new discussion in your topic in your course is created, or now this one is about something that you've subscribed to. So you can just scroll down through these, hover over them, get additional explanations. And then at the top over here, this is where you turn them on and off. So I have my work email address, and I have push notifications turned on, and then I have my personal cell phone number in here. And you can see how different my personal cell phone number is and what it receives versus my email. And you hover over these, and they're not going to give you those same descriptions that we just had. So you can click on each one and they'll just change, and it's easy enough. Or if you don't want to receive it at all, you can just turn it off. Okay. And then up here, if you want to know what those, really mean, they're just up here at the top. So notify me right away is the check mark, send daily summary is the clock, send a weekly summary is the calendar, or don't send me anything. So I would imagine you probably, with the notify me right away, really want to limit how many of those you actually do, make those very specific, and maybe you don't want any summaries at all. But it's up to you. And you can go through here in the notifications and set those. And they'll send to those contacts that you put over here in the settings, right over here on the right-hand side. All right, and then the last part of this section is navigation. So after I talk about navigation, we'll do a brief little Q&A section where people can come on and state their questions out loud and not necessarily have to watch the chat window for their answers. But we've got a few more minutes before we get there. So let's look at the navigation. So I already told you that this side over here is your global navigation. So from your global navigation, I'm going to head over to my dashboard, and you can see whenever I hover over each of these icons, when it's small screen like mine is, a little bubble comes out and tells me what it is. So I don't have to know the icon. This is my dashboard. I'm going to head to my dashboard. Okay, so if you want to customize your dashboard, I kind of touched on this a little bit before when I was talking about favoriting things. So I'm gonna take that to the end of this little discussion right here. But you'll notice in your dashboard you have published courses and you have unpublished courses. So the long and short of that is whoever is listed as a student or a teacher in these top courses up here under published courses, they are visible. The students can go in and they can work within that content. Anything that is in the unpublished area is the opposite. Students can't access it, they can't get in. You can add students in this area. Just because they're in the course does not mean that they can see it, because you have not yet published your course. So you want to make sure you remember that when you have students, like when you're building your courses that are automatically created for you and connected to the hub, you will need to, even though there's students in there, you will still need to publish that course. You can see each one of them has a very easy to see publish button. However, it could be very easy to click also. So just be aware that that's a publish button, and that is what gives the students inside of that course the ability to see your course and work within it. You can also change up the order of your course cards. So if I wanted Canvas Camp to be first, I could just drag it and drop it just that simply over to the side. I can click on the 3 dots you see here, or the ellipses, whatever you'd like to call it, snowman. You can change the color of it so that each one has a little bit of a different distinction, and you can nickname things. So if I wanted to change up the name of this just because it's too long, I just want to say camp. I can call it camp and hit apply, and it changed to camp for me, but it doesn't change for anyone else. This is just customizing your own dashboard. So like this Growing with Canvas course that I have with my staff, that's really long. Maybe I just want to make that shorter. I can just say, because I don't want it to have the long official name that we have to name things with the OPHS dash in the front. So I can do that if I want to, but it's just visible by me. And then if I click the ellipses again, I can click on move. And if I'm not a drag and drop kind of person, like I showed you before, I can say move to the bottom, and then it puts it back down there. It's just, you know, a preference on how you might want to move something. You can do it whatever way you want. And then let's talk about these little icons here. So the icons at the bottom, if you hover over them, they will tell you what they are. So some things like this Passport to Canvas, this is a student training course that my students are doing self-directed over the summer and in the fall. And so there's not much interaction not going on there because they're guiding themselves through it, and they just ask questions as they come up. So we don't have much notification icons coming up here, but that's what they are. They're notification icons. There are a couple of students in there doing discussions, so that's highlighted there for me so that I know to go in and check the student discussions. Over here on this course, I have a little megaphone that's telling me that there are active announcements inside of this course. I have some active assignments within this course, and of course, discussions again. So as you notice, these don't have any little notification numbers, but the Canvas Camp does have a notification. So that means that there are 4 announcements that I've not yet checked inside of this course. And so that's something that you can use to tell yourself, or to, you know, guide yourself as to when you need to go in and check something. That little notification number will let you know, just like it does pop up on your phone. We're kind of used to that. But you can click on there, and if you want to go straight to the announcements, it'll take you straight there. You don't need to take any other route to get there. So that's a nice little feature. And then over on the right-hand side, you have a to-do area, a coming up area, and a recent feedback area. So some of these may be empty for you if you've not been using Canvas with students. I've been using Canvas with staff and have some things that I still need to give some grades for. So under my to-do, it's telling me that I've got 32 grades under this assignment that I need to handle, 33 under this assignment. So it's just giving me a heads up that I need to take care of those things. If I had anything coming up on my schedule for the next week, this would link to my Canvas calendar and show me the different appointments that I have coming up in the next week. And then if there's any feedback that I need to provide to anyone, it would show up here. I just don't happen to have any right now. If your Start a New Course button has not already disappeared, it will disappear soon. Since Sandbox courses are now centrally created, you know, I'm not sure what the process for requesting an additional, you know, course is going to look like moving forward. And as soon as we know what that looks like, we will obviously share that with you guys. But do expect for that Start a New Course button to disappear for you if it has not already. And if you need any help with any courses or any questions around that, you can certainly contact your ITC in your building or ask us in the Q&A later on. And then you have a View Grades button here as well. And it is just what it says it is. You click on it and it takes you to the different areas, for me, the different courses that I'm teaching, and then the grade books associated with those courses. So that's how you can customize your dashboard. And then the last little bit that I said I was going to save for the end so that I didn't have to kind of navigate back and forth was favoriting your courses. So I told you before that if you were missing your Sandbox course, it may not be favorited in your dashboard. So to favorite courses in your dashboard, we'll go just below the dashboard button to the courses button. And from the menu that pops out, we'll choose all courses. And then this is where we have a list of all of our courses. So you can see the orange, some of the courses for me are colored in orange, some are not. So the ones that are colored are the ones that are showing in my actual dashboard. And then you do have a little area down here where you might have some former courses that are no longer active or are archived, and those will be in your past enrollments. So you could go through here and just click the star. That's going to throw it into your dashboard. And then once it's favorited in your here in this window, then you can go back to your dashboard and do the moving around that I was telling you about and changing up of the nicknames if you want to make it a little bit more customized for your user experience. But again, things that you do in your dashboard are just visible to you and not to your students. So on the right, I did mention the calendar. So this is just, you can get to your calendar by clicking View Calendar here under Coming Up, or you can go to your global navigation and click on the calendar. And right after this calendar section is when we'll stop for a few minutes for some Q&A. So once you're in your calendar, here are all the different calendars that are associated with my courses. So you will have one calendar for every course. The only calendars that are showing in my view right now are the calendars that are colored in these little boxes over here to the right. So it's kind of like when you just favorited your courses, the ones that are colored in stars are the ones that show on your dashboard. Same thing here with calendars. The little squares that are colored in are the ones that you're actually seeing on the calendar here. So let's say I was like working with a class and I wanted to show the class the calendar on a Zoom conversation, but I didn't need them to see everything else that I was doing with my other classes or on my personal calendar. I can just click on those little squares to make those colors go away. And you'll notice all of the other little icons of other events that I had or tasks that I needed to do went away, and now they can only see this one particular calendar that I want them to see. And then if I want them back, I can just bring them back just as easily. You also have a couple options. Well, one option really. If you don't want all of your, like let's say you want your personal calendar to be one color, maybe you want your sandbox to be a similar color because that's like your prep area, and then you wanted like your classes to have the same colors or even different colors. It's up to you. All you have to do is click the ellipses here on the right and choose a color, and you can choose something that stands out more to you. Just hit apply. And then you'll notice when this is my personal calendar, the Janelle Buggio, you will have something like that with your first and last name on it. That's your personal calendar. So you are the only person who can see what's inside of that calendar. So I have a little notice to myself. I need to do some grading by the end of the day on this date. And then when I change the color of the square here, it also changes the color of that event on my calendar. So when you have multiple calendars showing up on your screen, the color of the event, so this one is green, means that it is correlating with my sandbox. You'll notice if I uncheck the box, there goes the event. So that's just something that you might want to utilize. There is a calendar feed option. So if you want to connect what you put in your Canvas calendar here and have it automatically sent out to your Outlook calendar because you're someone like me who lives and dies by what's on their Outlook calendar, you can set up that calendar feed. But you do need to know that you do have to create Canvas things inside of Canvas calendar. So if I wanted to create an event, I can hit the plus sign. I can create an event to remind myself about something. I can automatically create an assignment for my students and choose which class it goes with. I can make a to-do for just myself that's just going to go to my personal calendar, or I can set up for my classes the ability to have office hours and sign up for those office hours through the appointment group area here. So if I were to create one of these, and I'm just going to use one that I already have here. Let's say the boot camp day 1. anytime that I need to make a change to that, like let's say that this is, I now want this to be the 11 o'clock session for whatever reason, I need to make sure that I do that here in the Canvas calendar. If I have the calendar feed set up to Outlook and I just by default go to Outlook to update it because I'm already in Outlook, that's not going to go back to Canvas. It's a one-way feed. So it's really just making a copy of whatever you have on your Canvas calendar and putting it in your Outlook calendar so you're not having to toggle between them. So you just always need to remember if something was created in Canvas and it's Canvas related, you really need to make those edits in Canvas. They won't travel back and forth. But the calendar feed, when you set that up, you'll just click the calendar feed button here, copy this text that's in the little bar here, and then you will take that over to Outlook and set it up in Outlook. And we're not going to spend time on setting that up today, but that is something that later on, as we get closer, to when ITCs come back, you can work with your ITCs on how to do that. Or you can look into some different like Canvas guides or Outlook guides that you find online for setting up that calendar feed. And then you just have the regular calendar views. So if you want to look at it just by week or by an agenda based on just the things that are coming up, you have the option to click through that and do that as well. And if you're not a big fan of hitting the plus sign to create a new event, you can actually just double click and create a new event from there. So you don't always have to use the plus sign. All right, so it is Q&A time. If anyone has any questions, what do you have on your mind, Nisha?
I think we're good in the chat so far. There are a lot of people on here, so if we by chance missed your question, feel free to just add it back in. Sometimes it goes kind of fast and furious, but I think we have answered everything. Thank you to all the ITCs helping out with that in the chat.
Awesome. Okay. So let's head on to the Commons. It's actually good, pretty good. I think that probably means a lot of people have been into the Growing with Canvas course or have done some sort of other intro course before and you're feeling comfortable. That's good because I was worried if I were going a little too fast. So here we go. All right, so in the Commons, we're going to head back to our global navigation area here. And like I said, if you hover over them, they'll give you a little bubble that tells you what it is if you can't see the full bar like me. So I'm going to click on the Commons. All right, so this is Canvas Commons. If you've not been here before, we're probably going to use this, honestly, a little bit less moving forward than we have in the time period between March and now. So between March and now, we were kind of going out and seeing what was in Canvas that's been shared to help us figure out with templates and such, how do we set up a page? How do we create a module? Are there some things already out there created that we can develop and rework into our own? However, now that we know that mostly our core areas, but also some of our other content areas outside of our core areas are creating modules that are going to be automatically pushed into your courses. The need for this has lessened a bit. However, I do still use it to go in to look at how different teachers have created different pages to deliver content to their students and kind of get like the formatting and headers and things like that I want to see what it looks like instead of just doing it from scratch by myself, and I may not necessarily know where to start. So in any case, this is the teacher to teacher share area. So, as usual, just be aware everything is a kind of on your honor system. So you'll notice if you haven't already in Canvas, a lot of times it'll ask you if this is, something that is okay to be posted on a public domain. You want to make sure that you're always keeping copyright in mind when you're putting things in here, because if you did not know, Canvas is a website. So all of the accessibility and copyright guidelines that we should be following for a website that faces to the world actually does apply here within Canvas as well. So just know that everyone is human and these are humans sharing these resources. So you always just want to make sure that images and everything that you use once you publish it to your students, you know that you have rights to actually use those images if they've been pulled off the internet. So with that disclaimer made, let's take a look at Canvas Commons. So it's really just your basic filter search. So I mentioned to you before, if you did not have access to Growing with Canvas course, so that you could do some self-guided learning to learn more about this on your own, or to go a little bit more in depth with some links that may be there, you can just type in Growing with Canvas here in the search bar. You don't have to hit enter, it automatically does that for you. I'm gonna move this Zoom bar out of my way here. All right. So Growing with Canvas, we have a couple different options. You'll notice that people have made their own copies and then shared them. So just be careful. The Growing with Canvas that you want to click on is the education services or training services, ones that you see here with the black background and the tree or the Canvas symbol. The other ones are ones that people have taken and edited and changed for their purposes. So you've got an English version, a Spanish version, and a Portuguese version. So if you wanted to pull this course into your dashboard, you could click on the course by clicking on the name, and then you would just import it into your sandbox if that's the only available course that you have. A lot of ITCs had encouraged teachers before July 1st to create a couple of extra courses. So you could import it into one of those courses. You would just have to have a course available to import it into. So you would just click the import course and it would, put it into that course into your dashboard, and it's as simple as that. You can get working. All right, so that's how you search for a course, and that's how you put a course into an existing course that you might have. So I'm actually going to go back in there, and if I hit import or download, I can search for the course. So here's Sandbox, but I have to spell it correctly. There we go. So there's my Sandbox course that comes up here. So if I click on that, I can click import into this course. And now it says you've successfully started the import, and it'll give you, it'll let you know when it's ready to go. If you find something in a Canvas search and you want to share it with a colleague, you can use the copy resource link here. It copies it to your clipboard, and then you can just paste it into an email or into a message text, like through Teams or something like that, to share it out so that other people can get to it directly without having to navigate there. And then you'll also see that you have an Add to Favorites button. And up here at the top in the Commons window, you have a favorites area. So if I were to add this to my favorites and then click up here into my favorites, then it's going to always keep it up here at the top. So I like to use this when I'm in a search and I'm just like looking for random things. I don't know. Since it's a planting course, let's look for plants, okay? So let's just say I wanted this quiz 7, or I thought it was interesting when I, looked into it. I'm not really sure yet, but I want to look at it later. I can just click on the course like I just did, hit add to favorites. And then next time that I have actual time to go through and really look at some resources and I'm not like in a bind or trying to move quickly, then it's there and I don't have to do the whole search to find it all over again. And then finally, you do have a filter here if you don't want to search all of the content. So if you click on the filter, you can search by whether it's a course or a module, whatever the type is that you're specifically looking for. You can click on the grade levels, which is definitely helpful when you're trying to narrow down all the different options. It keeps popping out of my view here. And then what's also very helpful is we can click on Prince William County Public Schools, not the Prince William County Consortium, but the Prince William County Public Schools, the middle radio button here. And then now it's showing me that there are 344 things that other Prince William County educators have shared in the Commons. So you might find that this is a helpful place to go and begin your search to find what other colleagues around the district are building into their courses and have shared with you to be able to build into your coursework as well. So up here at the top, you have the search area, the shared area. So I have one thing that I have shared and it's there. Anything that you've imported, no updates, and any favorites. So that's the commons area. And it's just a place for you to find, to go searching and find some stuff when you have some time or the interest or the need to do so. So we'll take a look at Studio quickly and the Help button quickly, and then we'll do another Q&A. So the Studio button, back over here on the global navigation, is the button that kind of looks like a YouTube screen with some arms and legs. I don't know how you would describe that, sticking out the bottom. So we'll click on Studio here. And your studio is the area where you can do your recordings. So if you want to record a pre-recorded lecture for your students, you could do that here. All you have to do is click on the record button and you can choose. Do you want to do a screen capture or do you want to do a webcam capture? So is this a webcam capture might be when you want to do an actual recorded lecture for your students. Like let's say you were doing just a quick direct instruction, like 10-minute little clip about something before they go in and use it with an assignment. Then that would be a webcam capture because that's going to capture the image of your face while you're talking. If you wanted to create perhaps a how-to recording to walk your students through something like what we're doing right now, then that would be the screen capture option. So it would record your voice and it would record everything that you're doing on the screen, but not include your face. All right, so if I were to choose loading screen capture, I don't know if it's gonna load like last time, it wouldn't let me take a picture. Okay, it popped over here into another window. Let's see if I can drag it over here. Here we go. So what it did is it gives me this little, these crosshairs and a little box, and all I do is the region that I want it to actually record. Just gonna drag it and select that region. And then down here at the bottom, you have some options. Do I want the screen? Do I want the webcam? Or do I want both? So let's just say, you know, I have some students that would benefit from looking at me speaking the words at the same time as leading them through the content. I could click on both. So it would capture my image while I'm speaking and also show them what's on my screen. And then you can see my microphone's working because it's bubbling out green here. My computer audio is turned off. You probably want to use that as your default so that your email is not dinging and carrying on while you're recording. And then finally, on my computer, it's pretty small. We have a little record button down here at the bottom. So we can click the record button, which is not gonna work for me right now because of Zoom. But if I were to hit record, it would just give me a quick 3, 2, 1 countdown and it would start recording. So once you're done with the recording and you hit stop, this is also the area that houses all of your recordings. So these are 3 different recordings that I've done in the past. And they're just listed there for you to be able to access later on. So you'll notice once I have the video created, I have the little snowman or the ellipses. I can create a quiz from that video. I can share it out. I can move it into a different part of my course. There's a couple different options that you can do there. You can preview it. Whoop.
Hey, Janelle.
Things that you can do there. Yes.
The first part of that, several of us could not see what you were doing. Once you got into studio, it's like the first 75% of your discussion, you were clicking on things and we couldn't see what you were doing.
Yeah, because I had clicked on the screen capture and it was trying to capture my screen, but it doesn't like it because of Zoom. When we did this previously using a different format, it didn't interact and I could actually model that for you, but it looks like in the Zoom interface, I'm not going to be able to model hitting the record button and what happens after that. So we can create a video and share that out on what it looks like later on.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, we're the first group. So first group with Zoom today. We're going to have a few little kinks like that, but we'll definitely make a video for you so you can watch it.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks for letting us know. But did you see, I'm not sure who said that, but did you see this little area where I said once you do have a recorded video, you can click the ellipses and you have some options of using the video to create a quiz, share
Yeah,
out.
this
Okay.
is Al Freebie, and yeah, we can see what you're doing now.
Okay, great. All right. So if you've ever used Screencast-O-Matic as a teacher, it's pretty much the exact same interface as Screencast-O-Matic. The first time that you ever create a video, when you do hit the record button, it is going to have you do a one-time install of an application that will enable Canvas to actually access your camera, and you'll want to enable that. Don't be worried about it. It's not a bad thing. And if you don't enable it, you're not going to be able to use Studio. So it's just a one-time install. I can't replicate it because I've already used the tool before, but just be aware of that. Jot it down and keep it in your memory so that when you're ready to do some work in Studio, you're not worried about that. That's something that should happen, and you will need to enable it. If you do want to add some more, some other video that you've created through another tool that may not have been created with the Canvas recording tool, you can click the add button and you can drag and drop files from your computer or put in YouTube links. If you have like a YouTube channel, you can put those, import those as well. So that you can then put those videos into your quizzes, into your files, and onto your pages, etc. So that is Studio. There will be a more in-depth session on Studio later in the week. It'll be on July 23rd with Katie and Biz. So I'm going to stop there because I don't want to steal their thunder. And that's probably something, if we don't have a video, you know, that's definitely something that they will cover with you later on in terms of what you couldn't see when I was talking earlier. They'll definitely touch on that as well. And then finally, let's look at the little help section. So, excuse me, I'm sorry. Global navigation, the question mark, you click on help. You have a lot of different help options here. So the number one thing that most people use are the search the Canvas guides. So when you click on that, your Canvas guides, I'm losing my cursor here. The Canvas guides, when you scroll down the page, you have another Canvas Guides button to click. Once you click the Canvas Guides button a second time on this red page, you'll see you have how-to guides for getting started, an instructor guide, a student guide, an admin guide, an observer guide. If your school is not using a homepage, like a required homepage in your Canvas classes, or if that's been changed because of because your content area has pushed down a required homepage, I strongly recommend that you link the student guide into your course on your homepage so that students have help tools when you're not around. And I encourage you to also include the observer guide because, like I said before, the observer guide is the parent guide. And so that will give them some tools to use and to help themselves navigate through Canvas without having to, you know, put in a ticket or ask you questions or things like that. So the Canvas guides are a great place for you and students and parents to go in and learn about the different capabilities and areas of Canvas. You've got using Flipgrid in Canvas. You have video conferencing guides for remote classrooms. These two are very, very helpful. So you know your ITC is not, you know, back on contract until August 10th, so they may or may not be monitoring their email at this time. If you have a question about Canvas, the best place outside of your ITC to get that information right now until we head back to school are these two areas, your live chat and your support hotline. And Canvas has told us that you will have a better experience on the hotline, that the chat it's just they're not, I guess they're not there like 24 hours a day. I'm not 100% sure, but they are there 24 hours a day, 365 days a year at the support hotline. So if you call that number and you ask them a question, that's literally what they're there for, is to help teachers learn how to use Canvas. So if you are just having a problem and then you're like, you know, my ITC is not working right now, and they said something about Studio, but they couldn't really show it because Zoom was, you know, creating problems. Could you show me how to record a video in Studio? And that's what they're there for. That's what they'll do. So those are two great tools for you to use. And obviously they can get on a computer and show you things when you're on a hotline with them better than they're going to be able to with a live chat. So those two things are there for you to use, and we encourage you to use them. And then you have the training services portal. This is where you can go in and take some additional Canvas classes. So anything, you just hit the authorize button. Any content that's here, you can take the coursework, and you can certainly keep your certificate at the end to use for professional development points. Just know that those aren't going to be tracked in our ERO, so you won't be turning those into your ITC. You'll keep those on hand for, when it's time for you to relicense. So you'll just want to print those out and keep those in your file, or keep those saved in your PD file. But it's loading really slow today. I don't know if they're having a bit of problem on their end or what's going on, but there's a lot of different options that pop up here in the training services window, and you can take any of those courses that are relevant to you. And then you also have something new here, some COVID-19 Canvas resources that you could look into that might help you building your courses during this time in this virtual learning that we're about to embark on. All right, so any quick questions, anything burning, Nisha?
We had quite a few questions about getting the guides in Spanish. Are you able to show where they can access those guides in Spanish?
Why don't we do that, because we're running low on time?
Okay.
Why don't we stay on at the end, and then those people who want that, we can walk them through it.
Okay, perfect. So yes, those guides are available in Spanish, at least some of them, so we can show you that at the end. And then let's see, I was catching up some at the end. There are definitely some here at the end. There are a lot of questions on Studio, and for that, I will say either we can get into some of those detailed questions during the Q&A. Also, this is just an overview right now. We will be getting more in depth with Studio later in the week. So a lot of the questions that you are asking about Studio, we will show you in the embedding part, how to get the videos from Studio into your coursework. We will show you that later this week.
Yeah, and that's July 23rd. That's the session with Katie and Biz.
Yeah, I think, why don't you go ahead, since we are running near the end, why don't you go ahead, and I'll try and address as many of these in the chat as I can, and then we'll catch up at the end during the Q&A with anything that we missed.
Okay. So if you're following along in the handout, we're getting to the in-course navigation and the communication section. So we're not going to really go in depth. Now on the handout, I did give you, and let me show you here on the handout, we did give you, some in-depth information about each little section of the navigation. I'm not going to walk you through every one of those right now, but they are there for you to explore. And as you'll notice, more in-depth information on your in-course navigation, your settings, and your homepage are going to be covered on the 21st with Katie and Dan. So tomorrow, in the sessions tomorrow, you will get more information on this in-course navigation, because just like Nisha just said, today is really just an intro, just so that you can move around and navigate Canvas. And then as the week goes on, you'll get more and more in depth with the different components. So let's head back on over here. So in the course navigation, that means we'll have to go to our dashboard, and we'll actually have to choose a course. So once you go into a course, you'll have your global navigation on the left hand here. You'll have your course navigation bar on the left side here. And because I'm on the home page, I have another menu over here to the side that gives me some more options as well. So that's something that Katie and Dan are going to go over with you tomorrow. So we won't go too in depth on that. But anytime, if you want to personalize your menu for your course, you would just click on the settings button here at the very bottom. And then click on the navigation tab, and that's where you can drag things on the bottom or things that students cannot see that will not be shown for users of your course. Things up top are things that are, and I'm just one of those people who needs all of those things to be in alpha order. So it's really just a drag and drop process to get those things up into the visibility area, down, hidden from view, and in alphabetical order if that is your personal preference. In the modules area of your course, you may have, depending on the content that you teach or the grade level that you teach, you may have some things that are centrally pushed down. So you may have to, spend some time moving some things around. But as you notice, when I click this series of, looks like 8 dots here on the left-hand side next to the title of the module, I can pull those modules into a different order. So if I need my modules at the top and, the centrally created modules in a different order, that is a possibility as well. But just be aware, if there's modules already in your course, don't be alarmed. They're supposed to be there. And as you navigate throughout your course, you'll notice, like if I go into this homepage template, every time that I click on something, I get a breadcrumb trail here. So if I get lost in all the different things that I've clicked on, I went from my main page to all of my pages to the course homepage template. And if I want to just go back to my pages, I can click on it, and then I get back to a list of all of my pages. So that's your breadcrumb trail that can help you keep track of where you are. Your home page is the only page that you're going to see this right-hand sidebar, and they'll go into more depth with that tomorrow. The people area is where you add students or teachers to your course. So if you have a co-teacher or a TA or something like that, you can add them there. And if you look under people on the handout, lost my cursor again. Here we go. The different designations of what you can give people and what their rights are listed there as well. And then if you want to create student groups where inside of a class you have subsets of students that work together on specific projects, you can set up student groups, and that's going to be covered on our July 24th session if that's something that you're interested in. So that's kind of a broad strokes overview of what the course navigation looks like inside of a Canvas course. So global navigation, course navigation, and then you only have that right-hand sidebar on the home page. And then the last couple things that we wanted to share with you is your inbox and your calendar. I already did the calendar overview, so I'm not going to go back over that again. But we'll look at your inbox quickly. Then we'll show how to undelete things, and then we're done. If you need to head out, these are recorded, so please don't feel like you need to state that you're leaving or worried about it. You will have access to this to go back and watch the last few minutes if you have something else coming up on your own personal agenda. So the inbox is linked to your global navigation. So in your inbox, I have 2 emails that I've already received, and then there's there's only 1 message here, but this also did include another teacher, and she responded. So the reason that we're seeing 3 right here is because there's actually been a conversation. It's showing you how many messages are linked to that particular thread of conversation. So yours may be empty, and that's fine, but you can change it from all courses. You can look at it at just specific courses. If you just want to look at your inbox course by course, that's up to you. But the biggest thing we wanted to point out to you today in this overview is just when you want to create a new message, you have the ability to do this, and so does your students. It's going to be really tempting, and this is just for you. Let me say that first. This is just for you. It's going to be tempting to select a course. However, if you don't select a course and just use the address book that pops up here, all of your courses come up as a drop-down, and then you can click on the course and you can say, oh, I just want to email the teachers in that course. Or, I don't have anyone in that course. Let me look at a course that I do have people in. Okay. So do I want to email all the teachers or all the students? Or do I want to email them all? If I want to email just the teachers, I can click on that and it will literally bring up all of the teachers, and I can do all the teachers in one click here, or I can just do them one by one. So that's really helpful when you're just trying to think of everybody that you might need to contact. The rest of it here works like a regular message window, but this is the big thing that I was saying that both you and your students are able to do. You have an attachment button that works just like an attachment button with your regular email, but you also have a recording button, which kind of brings Studio that I just showed you into your email. So if you have a student that would benefit from, the message being recorded, you could do that. You could click on your webcam and you could record your image while you're saying it, or it could just be an audio. And if you needed to, if you had something that was already pre-recorded, you could upload it from your computer files here. But you might even just decide that it might be a good time now to practice with it and send out a nice, like, how's everyone doing? I hope everyone's staying healthy and happy over the summer. See you soon, out to your kids. That's an option that you can use there. And then you just hit send and it will go into their Canvas email boxes. It will also go into their Outlook email boxes. So you don't have to worry about that not showing in one or the other place. You can respond to Canvas emails from your Outlook email box, but if it's something where you need to do an attachment or do something like the video integration that I just showed you, you will want to log into your Canvas inbox to do that. So that's just a quick overview of your inbox. And then finally, let's say you were working in your course and you deleted like a whole module and you didn't mean to do that. You want to get it back. There is a way that you can get it back. So once you're in like the home page or somewhere inside your course, you just click to the end of the address in the address bar there, and you type in /undelete and then hit enter. And what it's going to do is it's going to give you a whole list of everything, all the changes that were made, and then you can hit restore. In this particular course, I haven't done anything recently, so there's not much to show there, but it is going all the way back to May 6th. So it doesn't have to be something in the last week or the last month. It does go back quite a distance. So if that's something that you want to put it back to the beginning of the day or something like that, you can hit restore and that content will come back. So you don't have to freak out about that. There is a way to get things back if you accidentally delete them. So I didn't stop to show you the optional homework that you have because I just wanted to make sure we had time to cover everything, and we are a few minutes over. So let me show you that quickly. But in the Canvas course, the Canvas Live course, under day 1, we do have, you can participate in a discussion to see what that looks like as a student. You can also participate in an assignment so that you get an idea of how that looks as a student. And then we also did give you the link to the instructor guides, the help and resources. And then if you want to learn more about the inbox and the calendar that we went over, you can click on the Using Canvas to Communicate with Students video here. So those are a couple different options. And then lastly, we said at the very end, we would look at those observer guides and find the Spanish ones. And I have not looked for those. So Nisha, if you know where those are.
Yeah, so where you are right now, do you see where it says, what are you looking for? Just type Spanish up there where it says, what are you looking for? And you'll see where it says the third one down, guías, guides in Spanish. And then there will be, again, I don't know if every single student guide is contained in there, but at least some of them.
You have instructor and student and observer,
yes,
which are the 3 main ones that we were talking about. So yeah, I learned something new today.
And then if there are any other, especially specific questions, I know probably some of you have some other things to do today. So if you do not want to stay on any longer, let me put the attendance link in the chat one more time. Please be sure you do fill out the attendance link. That's the only way. We can't keep track of who was in the meeting with 250 of you. So we have you fill out that attendance form. It will also populate a certificate for you that will come to your email. And that certificate then can be used. You obviously will get in the ERO recertification points, but to show at your school that you did participate in this training. So if you'd like to stay on for the Q&A, we'd love to have you for the Q&A. But if you would like to go, you are free to go. Yes, that's right, Dave. We expect to see all these certificates framed. And Janelle, I think we can probably, I'm going to put the attendance form. The attendance form is that one that says forms. It's a Google form. I'll put it in a couple more times. Kelly, I'm just going to do these since we're here, rather than type. Do you have the start a new course button? I know they had said they were taking that away for teachers, but I have not seen it go away yet.
You know what? I don't know. I didn't try just because I heard that July 1st was the cutoff. Let me see what I can do.
Okay.
There's a couple people reporting that it's gone.
Okay. Okay. I see. Okay. And we could create that for you, or your ITC at your building can create that for you.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Sure.
I think you can also, during the summer months, submit a ticket to tech support at pwcs.edu. And the T-Specs can do that over the summer as well. That will contact your specific T-Spec directly.
Okay. Now, can I ask another question?
Yeah.
So as you're taking things from Commons, so if there's a whole module that you like, and I put it into my fourth grade math course, and then I find another one that I like and I put it into my same fourth grade math course, where, like, does it just stack one on top of the other, or does it replace the other one that I found?
My understanding is it just stacks.
Okay, so I think, like, for now it might be easier just to make favorites, right? Because we don't know what things look like.
Exactly.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. This is great today.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming.
I'm going to keep just responding to things in the chat. There are still some coming in. And then if there are people who want to unmute and go ahead and ask Janelle auditory questions, that way we can maybe hit two at once.
Yeah.
Share our time.
I have a question. Is there any way to review this video today again, or no? Is this just a live session?
It's being recorded, and that information will be shared with you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Janelle, a
Yes.
question about the Commons. Now the Commons, as you said, we have all the public resources, which has literally hundreds of thousands of things in it, the Prince William County and the virtual Virginia.
Yes.
Is everything that a teacher creates, does that automatically get put into the Prince William County?
No, it's only the things that teachers have specifically put in there. And we didn't go over that with you, but there is a section in the instructor guides on how you can share into the Commons.
And my other question is there, I don't know the right, is there a way that you're supposed to tell someone that you use their stuff, or are you just supposed to take it?
If they put it there, then that's their permission for you to use it and adapt it.
Okay, so there's no, sometimes there's something you're supposed to do as Anisha knows.
No,
I'm not very good at this.
They've put it out there for other people to use. My disclaimer earlier was just, you never know where they took stuff and thought that it was okay to use. Do you know what I mean? Like, they might have taken an image from the internet. That sort of thing. So just be aware that just because someone else shared it out doesn't mean that the content they put in it is always as quality as you might want it to be, or, copyright, following copyright rules and regulations. So just always keep that in mind when you're borrowing from someone else. That's all.
Yeah, it was my concern that it feels so steely that I wanted to, if there was a polite way, I don't even know what the term is that I'm looking for, that you're supposed to follow.
Yeah,
protocol, I guess is the word.
Just if they don't want to share it, they don't put it there.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I have a quick question.
Okay.
I was filling out the form and I missed when you spoke about how to communicate. I would send mass emails to all of my parents or to my students and my parents on the day of a test or an assessment, or like before we took the writing SOL and things like that. And
Right.
you explained how to access or how to email all parents, and I was filling out my attendance sheet. So can you briefly go over that?
Yeah, no, I actually didn't say how to contact parents through the inbox, because you actually cannot. There is not a way in the inbox for you to pull parent email addresses, because the parents they just have observer accounts. So they don't actually have an account to Canvas that you could email. So there's two different ways you could go about it. You could continue to email your parents and students like you always have through Outlook. Or you can use the, for something of that nature, like reminding them that they have a test coming up, maybe include like a resource that they should look into. Another good option would be, let me pull up here on my screen, your announcements section of your course. So like, see here, this is the Canvas live course.
Mm-hmm.
And Katie sent out 3 announcements. When she put those announcements into the announcements page, those announcements were automatically emailed out to the email account as well. So if a parent has linked their observer account to their child, they'll get a notification that there's a new announcement. And so that will prompt them to go into Canvas and look at the announcement about your upcoming test and any resources that you linked there. And then it will also, depending on how they've set up their personal notifications, send them an email to whatever, you know, they've got set up in their own Canvas account. So it wouldn't be something where you actually click a button and send it to parents. It would be, you know, either you posted an announcement or you emailed the student, and, you know, you would just be able to email the students through the inbox. So if it's something that you want to send a direct email to parents, you will still have to continue to use Outlook for that.
Okay, so what you were describing to us when you talked about linking our Outlook email account to Canvas,
That's just the calendar.
That's just the calendar.
Yeah, so you have in Canvas, you have the inbox, which is what I just quickly overviewed. That is where you can only send messages, you know, email messages. It does automatically send a copy of that message out to Outlook. That's not something that you have to set up. That's automatically done with the Canvas inbox. When you click on calendar, what I was saying with the calendar feed is if any, you know, if you want the items that you put here in Canvas to make a copy and send it out to your own personal Outlook calendar, because you don't want to look at 2 different calendars throughout the day, a Canvas one and then like a personal the rest of your day calendar, you can do that, but it's just a one-way feed.
Okay, and you can't do that the other way. You can't put it on your Outlook calendar and have it go to your Canvas calendar.
No.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate that, the information.
Not a problem.
Hey, Janelle, I had a question. Can CLT teams at the elementary level, like 1st grade, are they able to share a course and all edit and add to that course?
Yes.
They can. Okay.
So in your course, you might have to ask if everyone's start a course button is gone, you might need to put in one of those tickets to tech support at pwcs.edu or email your ITC. And have them create a course for you so that you don't use up your one sandbox. So that would be the first thing. You want to make sure that you have an empty shell. And then what you'll do is once you have that empty shell, and I'll just use my sandbox for now, then you'll click on the people button and you'll hit the people plus button here. And they'll put in their email addresses, and then under role, that's where you're going to say if they're a teacher. If you want that, if this is a space where you guys are just going to build and collaborate, then you'll add all of the teachers as teachers. That's the highest level editing that they can have. And then you'll just hit next and it'll add them as a co-teacher, and you'll all have the same rights.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm sure I missed this, but the county is creating like 7th grade science to drop down. When do those come to us?
I do not know. And I don't even know if it's like and you know what? I'm going to let Nisha answer that because I know she's been working with some of them. Nisha?
Again, sorry, I was distracted by the chat.
Okay. I'll look at this. I'll look at the window while you're answering this one.
Can
She
you
was
ask
wondering when all of the courses coming from the district level are going to be pushed down. Any idea of the timeline on that?
We do not know the timeline. I know they're still actively working on those courses, and I think they have a goal to get, the first chunk, whatever that may be for the content area, the first quarter or however many modules finished by the end of July. But these courses that get pushed out are going to have your students in them. So my guess would be, just a guess, it's not going to be until like the very end of July. So the same time that the students get pushed out to Gradebook, I would anticipate that it would be that similar time frame that the students and these courses will get pushed out.
And will we be able to change and edit those courses?
Yes. So the great thing is that this is just a resource for you. So anything that's in those courses that you want to modify, you can modify. If you totally want to delete it, you want to unpublish it and hide it just for the time being, you have complete control over those courses. You can move some content to the bottom and say, maybe we'll get to this and I want to add in some of my own things. You certainly have that control. And a lot of the things that really are going to be essential to our Canvas courses, having that personal feel, allowing students to have their own editable documents or using Flipgrid. Some of those external components, the teacher's going to have to set up individually because those need to be logged into with individual accounts. So yes, there'll be a lot of customization. And so that's really what we're saying to teachers is you can definitely work on building content for your course, but even better than that, work on really getting familiar with Canvas and work on if you haven't seen Katie's Make It Work Mondays that talk about integrating Zoom or talk about integrating Wakelet, all those different resources, that would be where I would say focus your time so that when those courses are pushed out, you're ready to run with, customizing them and making them your own.
So if I can just clarify those courses that are coming out, because I know my staff's going to ask me, they're not courses that you could just plug and go with though. Like you have to customize it, right? Like they're shells. They're not complete content. Like I don't want my staff to be sitting there thinking, oh, I can just wait because the KLC is going to give me this course and I'm not going to have to do anything.
Correct. You're absolutely right. For instance, we're not adding any quizzes or assessments in because that particular component, it's difficult when it copies over for them to copy over. So there's not going to be any assessments. And there may be some ideas for project-based assessments, but no quizzes and no summative assessments. So the teachers are going to have to add those. And then, of course, like you said, if there was a teacher that was hired, a day before school starts, they might have to just initially go with that until they got their feet on the ground. But we're hoping that for the majority of teachers, school start date is pushed back to September 8th, so that once those courses are pushed out, the teachers will hopefully have some time, a week or so, to really customize them and make sure they suit their particular needs. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to take back over and show someone how to do the undelete again. Nisha, I left off at Margaret. She might be the next person who needs an answer there in the window.
Okay.
Asking about Canvas guides outside of Spanish. All right, so I want to say it was Pamela. I hope I have that right. That wanted the undelete link or process. So let me try a different course that maybe has more for me to be able to see here. Okay, so here I am inside of my course and I was working in modules and oh no, I just deleted something. I got to get that back. So I'm going to, in the address bar at the top of my browser window, I'm going to add a / and type in the word undelete, hit enter. That didn't work because I was in the modules page. So I need to actually click on home first, and then after the number that we see at the end of the address, type in the word undelete. And here we go. Now we can see the different options of items that I've deleted that can be restored using this process. And so whichever one you would want to restore, then you would just hit the restore button and it'll put it back in its original place.
Hi, I have a question. I saw in the handout something about using the calendar function to schedule office hours or to schedule like group meetings. I'm wondering if you could show how to do that.
So back in the calendar, all right, back in the calendar, if you can double click on a date or you can hit the plus sign. And then what you're referencing is the appointment group. So you might say office hours here. Location is online. And then whichever classes you want to invite to these particular office hours, then you would click them here. Done. All right. And then you would choose the date. Let's say it's on Wednesday and your time range. And this is where you would set up each slot. So if I was only offering like 15-minute slots, maybe I did 1 o'clock to 1:15. And then I would hit the date again. 1:15 to 1:30 and so on. Or you could say divide them into equal slots of whatever you want to do. Let's say 15 minutes, go. And then auto filled it just like that. And then you can say you only want, one person, or do you want it to be like they can come in as a group? So you could have multiple users. A lot of times it's probably just going to be one unless you're working with a group. But then you might actually set up a different event for groups. It's up to you. Allow students to see who signed up for time slots. Most of the time you're probably not going to do that. And you have a limiting participants also. So any details that you want to put here. And then hit publish. And then that's something that they'll see on their calendar in that class.
Thank you. Is there a way to link those automatically with like a video chat function, or would you have to kind of send out like a separate reminder with the meeting information? Do you know how that works?
I mean, I don't see any way inside of that particular window to have that capability. But you might just put, maybe you use your announcement section for that. Send out an announcement and say in your course, let's see, let's go back to the course.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that too. Like send an announcement, say, hey, sign up for these times.
Exactly.
Okay.
I have all the, my office hours are always on this day, just hit the plus announcement. Let's see what that looks like here. And then once you're in this window, then you have a video tool here. So if you wanted to record yourself walking them through the process of doing that, you could have that inside of this announcement as well. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, that's useful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I had a question about that. When I was kind of following along with you guys, I uploaded the Growing with Canvas into my sandbox, and I was wondering, is there a way that I can delete that now that I'm just kind of following along, kind of playing around? Now I can't, or I don't know how to delete it.
Well, you don't want to delete the course because then you'll delete your sandbox.
Okay.
But what you can do is that I imported it into mine as well. So that actually
Yeah, I
works.
just didn't know if there was a way. I'm not sure if I wanted it in my sandbox, so that's why I just wanted to maybe just take it out, or I don't know.
You might have to, because if you delete the course, then you're going to delete the course. You're going to lose your sandbox.
Right.
So what you'll want to do more than likely is just go into the modules area. And when you click on the 3 dots here, you have a delete option. So if you just delete all the modules, you can get them out of there instead of having to do them all one by one. And then you might have to go into pages as well. Like I'm deleting them here. Let's see how this goes.
Yeah, when I've done that before, after I delete the modules, I do have to go into the other areas like assignments and pages and delete from there as well.
Yeah, so that's why, like someone asked before, should I just maybe favorite some things that I like for now and not import them all? Probably, because then that way, you're avoiding having to do what I'm doing right.
So I went into the modules, so I'm going to have to go through and actually delete each individual
The module.
item.
Yeah, and then you'll have to go into pages. Yeah, I know.
Awesome. It might just be easier if I can just ask for another sandbox, maybe.
Getting ready to say that. Yeah, it might be. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks.
Yep.
So I think we're going to give about a 5-minute warning on any more questions that we would like to have answered. We discovered, and this is kind of good for everyone to know, if you have one Zoom meeting that you are a co-host for, you cannot start another Zoom meeting until that meeting has ended. So we have another session coming up at 11, so we want to make sure we get that one started in the next few minutes. So if you have any more questions, feel free to ask. We also do have, do you want to show, Janelle, since your screen is up, in the Wakelet in the course, where we do have regular office hours on Mondays and Wednesdays, that at least Katie usually is there, and Billy, they do an awesome job of helping and allowing you to really ask your very individual questions. I believe that's either in the Wakelet, or if it's not in the Wakelet, it is in the course under the question mark. And Billy, thanks Billy, he's sharing the link in the chat as well.
Oh, it's at the...
Under that help and resources, I know it's there.
In here? No.
Yes, sorry, under the first module, where the question mark is, under help and resources.
What am I missing, Nisha?
That's okay, just scroll down a little bit.
Under day one.
Yeah, under day one.
Oh, under day one, okay. Sorry, I was looking at the, oh, okay, yeah, this one.
Help and resources. And then that last bullet is for that.
Oh, live.itcs, yes. So let's open
And the
that.
password for that is summer 2020. But thanks, Biz. Today we are not doing, I'm sorry, today they are having it at noon, but on Wednesday, Billy and Katie and some other folks are presenting at a different event. So it will be pushed to 3 p.m. on Thursday for this week. And we will be, once we are finished up, we will be posting the link to the recording. So you will have access to that as well.
And that includes the chat as well.
It should include the chat as well, yes.
And Nisha, you said the password for the Zoom calls is summer 2020, right?
For those individual one-on-one help sessions.
Right.
You're doing.
If you go to the link, you shouldn't need the password. It's embedded into the link.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's only if you type it in.
Okay.
But just in case, it was summer 2020, right?
Yep, it is.
Well, thank you all for coming. We know this is your summer too, so we really appreciate so many of you being very proactive in order to best serve our students this year.
So can I ask you ladies just again real quick? Sorry. I know Nisha answered the question. I was curious with compatibility for like iPad versus laptop with Canvas, because I've had a lot of parents asking, and I have 3 kids myself in school. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, we have an iPad. I mean, is it worth me telling parents or me myself going out and purchasing a laptop, or is it going to be not such an issue where I could probably access everything on the iPad?
I'll jump in on that. So you definitely you can do everything with an iPad. What I've been telling parents is if your child or is going to use an iPad, I recommend getting a Bluetooth keyboard.
Okay, yeah.
And if possible, if it's an iPad 6 or 7, if you have littles, investing in the Apple Pencil, just because that'll allow them in a virtual instruction to be able to still practice some of those handwriting skills.
Okay. Well, what's that called? Apple Pencil, you said?
Yeah, and it's compatible with the iPad 6 and the iPad 7. So this year's
Okay.
iPad and last year's iPad.
Okay, perfect. But I shouldn't have any issues accessing any of the apps or anything
No.
with just the iPad, because I do have the virtual or the Bluetooth
Yep.
keyboard, but that's like $15 versus like 900. So
Exactly.
I'm like, okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
All right, Nisha, I think it's that time.
Okay. Thanks again, everyone. See you tomorrow.
Bye.